Yeah, we're just supposed to care about how we feel, according to Abraham. I kind of like that advice because I'm a hedonist.
Yeah, it's like, you know, the whole Bart Simpson, you know, because I felt like it.
I felt like doing it.
Yeah.
Well, I learned in philosophy class that there's a tenet in what we call over here Hinduism. They got a whole mishmash of religions over there, but it's this idea that there's 4 stages to the spiritual path. You start off just trying to pursue and satisfy the base desires, and then you eventually sort of like tire out of that, and you start moving on to being successful. And then you sort of end up getting tired of that, and then you move on to like helping people. And then you sort of move on from that and just move inward and start working on yourself. And then that's like...
you're jogging my noggin. I remember that stuff from Bortolin.
Yeah, Kevin Bortolin, philosophy teacher, Ventura
Extraordinaire.
College. Yeah. He's awesome. He's like top-notch stuff that... He's not the hero we deserved. He's better.
Yeah.
You know?
He's the teacher you want.
He's the teacher you really want to have.
Not the one you deserve.
Not the one you deserve.
You deserve old crotchy is what you deserve.
What I don't get
With
is...
her sagging boobs hanging down lower than her nasty pink brown dress.
That was my second grade
That's
experience.
your second one?
That was my second grade, yeah.
Alright.
Yeah.
So, like... what-
Veiny boobs.
Okay, now I'm, like, lost where my thought was.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm having
there it
flashbacks.
was. Okay, so I had that class, and it kind of blew my mind that it blew all the other students' mind that there's a swastika that's not associated with Nazis.
Where was that?
India?
Oh yeah, we're talking about India. Well, yeah, it's a solar whirling force, right?
Yeah. It's supposed to be the good kind, and then, like, they reversed it. Like, and then turned it upside down, because apparently a square, like, and this is some weird, like, deep occult shit that I've seen on, like, Freeman TV way back in the day when he, like, didn't have a budget. Apparently it being on, like, flat is good, because that's stability, and it being, like, tilted or canted, as you would call it, is bad.
Made it unstable?
Yeah, it's like transitionary state.
Okay. Isn't that... So, like, we're getting into dark territory already, right? Like, are the Nazis guilty of just doing whatever they wanted to do and whatever felt right to them, you know? I think there's some wisdom I've heard against that. Like, if you listen to last podcast on the left, Josef Mengele episode, and they talk about Auschwitz a lot of those Nazis had to be really drunk because they honestly didn't really feel that great about what they were doing. So,
and they're all high on meth.
Yeah, so, I mean, that sort of speaks to the message of all these aliens, is that if we just follow our inner light or our inner what feels right, that maybe we'll come out with the right solution. Because at some point you got to be like, I don't think I want to put people in ovens anymore. It's gross. I mean, well, I guess I'm trying to make an argument that is it okay to just to trust our feelings, or will that just lead us to the dark side, as we've been taught? Because that's what I mean. Honestly,
no.
We're getting a little too deep into the philosophy of these channeled messages.
You're totally Mandalorian effect.
Yeah, like so
no, that's not the line of Star Wars. It's trust your instincts and then search your feelings. Search your feelings. Examine how you're feeling and why. Like shit. It's
don't just act it out, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, that seems
Darth
like
Vader's like search your feelings, you know it to be true. And it's all like, oh fuck, you are my daddy.
Hello everybody and welcome to The Whole Rabbit. I'm your host, LukeMadrid, and this is our co-host and sort of producer thing, Andrew Haskins.
Yo, how's it going?
Party wizard extraordinaire. And today we are talking about channeled messages.
Oh yeah.
Because we don't just investigate the fur or the ears or the paws, we investigate this strange, etheric, sort of sexually attractive, etherical channeled being that is sending the rabbit advice on how to make business decisions in reality. Three-dimensionally. In vibration with its highest excitement, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what channel messages, they all say the same thing. I mean, you can channel unicorns or Pleiadians or Arcturians, and they all seem to say the same thing, and that's like, you're here to experience three-dimensional reality and evolve into beings of light and consciousness. Sounds pretty great.
Yeah, but like that's the thing is.
But why do we have to poop and eat and brush our teeth and stuff? It's all like a real pain in the ass. Like, I guess that's why we're here, is to experience all the suffering of having a body and getting old and having to take pills to make your pee-pee hard again. You know? Why are we here? This is why I have to listen to channel messages.
So like, with all these channel message people, I'm with everybody who's like, is it real or is it just a performance? Let's talk about that for a moment.
Let's talk about that for a moment. Okay. This is pretty early in the episode. I think this is where we should start.
I mean, you already like gave out the ending, right? Like in the beginning.
Yeah, because I mean, what's the whole rabbit? We're gonna cut to the chase. We want to tell you the ish right away, and then we want to elaborate on what we actually think. We're eventually gonna do deep dives on movies and symbolism and stuff, but for some reason, I think we just need to cover the gamut of stuff we want to talk about in general. So, channeled messages, are they real, are they not? Now, I want to open up and just get this off my mind because it's been playing in my head. At some point, I stopped caring if they were real or not. It stopped mattering to me. Let me just entertain the skeptic right away, the skeptic's argument. It's like, okay, this is just some dude or some lady that's glorified on their podium who's just saying whatever the audience wants to hear, and that people will pay money
to hear what they want to hear.
To hear what they really believe, or what they want to hear.
What they want to believe.
What they want to believe. Okay, I can't say that that's not happening. Like, we'll start there.
Yeah, what about these people who are just like, they could just come up with like broom closet wisdom, you know, just something like right off of like anyone, like the top of anyone's head.
Yeah, I gotta harken back to my art appreciation teacher in college, going back to college again.
You gotta appreciate that art.
Man, I love Ventura College. This teacher, wish I could remember her name. I'm an asshole for not remembering. She is like, if you ever look at a Mondrian, which is like all those like colorful squares, if you've ever seen like modern art, like the classical, why do we consider this art, is usually they show a Mondrian and it's like a big red square next to a big yellow square and a big blue square.
Yeah, it's something dumb.
And right, and so like that's the first thing we talked about in class was like, look at this, what do you think of it? Look at this, what do you think of it? And you know, our first response is like, yeah, that's dumb. Like, why is that modern art? Like, what's that a thing about? And she was like, okay.
Lack of skill.
She's like, you go, yeah. So that's what we said. And she's like, okay, you go do it now. Like, you go try and do a Mondrian, you know?
Oh, I can do a Mondrian.
Can you?
Yeah.
All right, let's fucking see it, bro.
I'll make it and we'll post it.
All right, bro, let's fucking see it.
It'll be on Instagram.
You have to do it in acrylic though.
Oh yeah, I like.
You can't do it in Photoshop. That'd be easy. You have to do it the way Mondrian did it. And so I'm gonna say, so like, because you're playing devil's advocate right now, I'm gonna say you won't be able to do it. It's too perfect. And what you're not able to appreciate it because you haven't come close enough to it to appreciate it. And I sort of feel the same way about channeled messages. It's like, okay, Mr. Skeptic, if this person just got up on a podium and just started talking and draws people in month after month, video after video, seminar after seminar, and is making decent money doing it, and the people are coming and paying the money and enjoying it and going home and getting something out of it.
That's a point. Is
like, why don't you do it? If it's so easy, why don't you do it, Mr. Skeptic? Why don't you get on YouTube and just start talking and saying whatever and see if you can get 500,000 views or see if you can make $1 million if it's so easy? Like, do you like your job that much? You know, if it's so easy, why don't you just do it?
All right, so that's a point, is like just the sheer entertainment value of like some of these people is worth whatever money they're charging, because these people, like, they got this stage set up, they gotta pay for that, they gotta like drive around and they gotta pay for travel. Like, that's fine. Like, give them their dues.
It's fun to go on a road trip every now and then.
But they're like, they have to like, even if it's an entertaining thing, they have to like change their message just enough to stay on the fucking ball.
But it's always the same message.
But it's
for
always
some
the
reason.
same fucking shit, right?
Yeah, I turn on Abraham Hicks and it's like 2019 Abraham Hicks, and it's like, oh my god, here we go again. Like, he just got like
how long before the vortex comes up?
And like, yeah, they do stuff like they'll drop, like, I don't think you'll hear her say the vortex anymore, but she did talk about like, you imagine like what you want to imagine, like Like, whatever, it's just like what Bashar says. Like, the thing that excites you the most is your leading edge of manifestation, and the more you connect to it, the more you're able to manifest that stuff you want. Is like, basically, they're both sort of saying that.
But, like, Abraham is supposed to be this disembodied consciousness of, like, some crazy high level, and then Bashar is supposed to be, like, some hybrid alien.
Yeah, Bashar is half physical. Supposedly, he's an Esasani, as he calls himself, or she calls himself.
Or whatever's going on.
It's an Esasani, and I've heard the Esasani described as like 5 feet tall. They're somewhat androgynous, but the boys don't really have hair on their head, and the more females have like long, beautiful hair.
So they're Argonians from freaking Elder Scrolls.
I think they're more beautiful though. They're more androgynous and beautiful than Argonians. Argonians are like reptilians.
Yeah.
I don't think the Esasani are reptilians, or if they are, they're only, well, they all claim to be hybrids of everything else, but I would imagine they're not very reptilian, the Esasani. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I thought he said he was a human reptilian hybrid.
He might have. I sort of thought he was a gray hybrid.
Like that's debatable, but he even says like the grays are like future humans, like coming into the past of a different reality to keep humans from going down their route and like they continue themselves.
That's a common.
But like Bashar is saying that as well. Like he's corroborating that story.
Well, that goes back to the fairy lore again, where the fairies abduct us to vivify their bloodlines, and
which is totally the gray story.
Yeah, it's like they got into this genetic cul-de-sac. They needed a way out, and so they take human kids and humans and, you know, take their DNA and make hybrids. And that's what we're dealing with, is these super psychic things in the future that are able to reach out to us in the past and give us, life advice, I suppose? Oh, man. I'm kind of okay with life advice from aliens. But
yeah, if they can travel through time and space, I mean, might as well just like, how give me the lowdown, buddy.
So so the one option is like, oh, they're all making it up. Okay, so if they're all making it up, are they all making it up this sort of the same way because it's profitable, or because it's what people want to hear? And okay, let's say that's the case. We'll go with that skeptical idea for a moment.
Evidence against that argument is their consistency with their message. It never really changes. It's just they sort of change the way they talk about it. It's more the language they use to describe the thing.
Yes.
Changes, not the thing they're describing.
Right. And so, it's like if you're channeling Pleiadians or Arcturians or unicorns or the Archangel Lucifer, they're sort of delivering the same message in their own flavor, which is what's fun about it. I guess
some are more tastier than others.
Yeah, some are more tastier than others, and
some are spicy.
What did I want to say about this? It's like, okay, from a skeptical perspective, I was thinking about it when I woke up this morning. Like, if it's all bunk, but yet all the messages share a similarity, that must mean that we're viewing some sort of architecture in our own psychology, and interfacing with this part of our psychology. And so even from a completely atheistic, non-spiritual, skeptical perspective, I think looking into channeled messages and what they say is valuable to understanding ourselves.
Absolutely.
That's whether or not you believe it or not, and that's why we're talking about it here today. The whole rabbit, we're not really a skeptics podcast, really. We're just,
we gotta give it the due.
Where I like to sit around? I like to sit around on X, on 4chan, and I'll sit there all day, especially if I got a job to do. I can have it just sitting on the side and like just check it out, because I like to keep an open mind. I want to explore things. I think I've listened to too many people's stories to not believe all of them. People experience weird stuff, and gosh darn it, I'm gonna experience weird stuff too. So channeled messages, back on topic. Yeah, I'd pay $150 to go see Bashar, and I think I might. I don't even know how much he charges, but that's kind of what I'm willing to pay. I don't know.
Well, like, if you ever listen to Bashar, it's really interesting because he goes from like the guy who channels this entity Bashar, his name's Daryl Ankh.
Yeah, Daryl Anka.
Daryl Anka. He's like just this tiny little man, and he's just like super nice and polite and very just soft spoken. But when Bashar's channeled, he's like Genie from Aladdin. It's like the most entertaining, knowledgeable character you have ever witnessed.
Why do some of these entities have that weird Scottish flange?
Like, I remember, like, looking at his earlier work, and he sounded more like a fish.
Did he think like a Scottish fish?
Yeah, he sounded like a Scottish fish, and then he slowly, like, moved to more of, like, a very, like...
I bid you good day!
Yeah, like, more genie.
More genie, yeah. Esther just sounds... Yeah, Esther and Abraham sound like the same. You know, they have almost the same voice. You know, they don't... There's no change at all. It's like... It would be hard to tell if you're talking to Abraham or Esther.
Yeah.
They have a very close relationship. And that's, like, some of these channels have closer relationships with their...
Well, some of them are channeling different things. Like, she's channeling, like, a higher energy being. Like, that doesn't specifically say that it's...
Yeah, like Abraham, like the entity Abraham probably doesn't have a body, where Bashar claims to have a body. Or at least half of a body. It's, like, supposedly half light. And then, you know, then you get... Like, if you go on YouTube and you type channeled messages, you'll get a lot of... Well, honestly, a lot of really beautiful women who are just, like, doing this stuff. I don't really know. It almost seems random now. Like, in the past, when you type channeled messages, it almost felt like it was coming from a prescribed group of people or, like, a certain publisher almost. And there was only a few people doing it. And now it's like... This has become such a thing online, and there's so much interactivity online, and they're teaching us how, like, people are teaching classes on how to channel. It's like the Wild West. It's like, you can go on YouTube, and there's all these people channeling all these different entities. It's
Who's that one guy? Because I've noticed that most people, they channel one entity. One person, one entity. But then there's, like, that one guy, what was his name? And he's
Ivan Teller?
Ivan Teller. That guy's interesting because he seems like more of like a regular person, number one. And number two, he channels like anything and everything.
He's also hasn't been doing it that long. We were listening to a live broadcast a few minutes before starting this recording, and he was talking to some astrologer guy. Ivan Teller is really down to earth, and he basically said that he paid for a class or something on how to do it. And it was a really short class, and that's really all he needed, and it wasn't even that expensive. And
he just practiced the basics probably, and just got it good.
And he just had the balls to experiment.
Dark Souls, get good.
Yeah, get good. He just had the gall to go and try it. And he was saying, like, he would go out to the park to, like, find a nice place to do it, and then suddenly there'd be somebody, like, creeping in to listen to him, like, just spout nonsense, and he was like, that makes me really uncomfortable, you know, like...
But now he does that, like, on YouTube, you know, in front of, who knows how many people viewing, probably a lot.
I believe that stuff's possible. Let's just start here, like, from the skeptic's perspective again. All right, so we've all been in a really great conversation. Everything's just flowing naturally. If you're on a date, that's where you want the conversation to go. It's like you're not even thinking about it. It just feels like the words and the ideas are just flowing. But this whole channeled message thing, you can get that when you're by yourself, too. I've had it happen plenty of times. Sometimes, like, in the middle of the night, you'll wake up and you'll just feel inspired and you'll have all these ideas and you're, like, talking to yourself. Or maybe you'll be, like, driving and you'll suddenly get some inspiration and you'll start working out some stuff in your head and, like, you'll go into the stream of consciousness. So, like, it sort of seems like that's what's going on with these channels, except it's just a touch more ritualized or a touch more controllable, because if I could be inspired 1,000% of the time, I probably would be, but, you know, there's times where I'm just sitting there like, oh, just somebody entertain me, you know, like...
I'm sort of, like, kind of an imaginary person, but anyways,
yeah, like you got a big imagination.
Yeah, so
if your imagination were a dick, you'd be like the Ron Jeremy of imaginations, man.
Oh, Ron Jeremy's a gross little troll, dude.
Yeah, but he's got a huge schlong.
Sometimes, like, and this is like what I would think of like a form of channeling, is you just think of like advice you would get from somebody maybe you look up to when, like, they're not in the room. Just try to think of how they would respond to it. And you could probably like I've done it, and you can probably channel like some pretty interesting things.
Isn't that what Christians do with Jesus?
I think it is, but like I've done this with, like, speaking of Christians and Jesus, Jordan B. Peterson.
Okay.
It's like, well, like, how would he react if you asked him a question? Like, given everything he said and everything you've heard,
well,
what would he say about the lobsters?
Well, I mean, Jordan Peterson, I like a lot of the advice you have to say. It just sounds really like fear-based and like you
Well,
want
of course it's fear-based because some people just die. That's bad.
Are we really like wretched beings? You know, like I think that's going a bit far.
Well, some people are, and some people choose to be, and some people have no bloody choice.
Does that? I mean, is that something we should explore? Should we explore our dark side? It's
that easy. Like,
yeah,
you can
yeah. I mean, okay, so that's a thing. Okay, actors, right? Isn't that something that actors have to do? Is they have to sort of channel their characters, and then occasionally that gets them into hot water?
Yes. Jim Carrey had like a breakdown when he was like channeling comedian that he was playing in a role.
Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, Andy Kaufman, and he lost his mind there for a minute.
I'm happy this came up because I remember watching as a kid the commentary on the DVD of Man on the Moon or something, or watching the documentary. I don't remember exactly what, but it said that Jim Carrey, when he got into character for Andy Kaufman, the people that actually knew Andy Kaufman were like, how's he doing this? Like, his mannerisms, even some of the stuff he said was stuff that Jim Carrey just couldn't have known, even watching all of his material. Like, there were just little things that he did were so accurate to what Andy Kaufman was like that he pulled it off. He was channeling him. And then the thing that always pops up in my mind with this is Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger?
Yeah, Jack Nicholson told Heath Ledger not to play the Joker. He said, don't do it.
Well, before we get off of the last person.
Me too. Who are we talking about just now?
We said Heath Ledger. Oh, Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey, yeah.
Jim Carrey's into some really, really weird stuff.
He's all into letting
Like
go of
us.
the ego and like releasing the ego and living without his ego, right? I mean, that's why he says such weird stuff that's like incomprehensible to normies, but is actually pretty normal to anyone.
Until he
who's-
sold out recently.
Did he
Like,
sell out recently?
Yeah, he's all like Nikes and like all this other stuff, like, you know, just like weird corporate culture.
I think he's gonna play the bad guy in the Sonic movie.
Hopefully. I don't know.
He's gonna be Dr.
I don't
Robotnik or whatever the bad guy is in Sonic.
He should play the Riddler.
Yeah,
again.
bring the Riddler back. Oh my God! Like, talk about underappreciated. Like,
Now we're back to Batman and
talk about
freaking
every.
Heath Ledger and the freaking Joker.
Okay, so what is Jim Carrey like a master at channeling these things? Because he's a trickster. He's funny. Like, dude, the Riddler is hilarious. And then the whole like dark trickster thing. My other favorite Jim Carrey movie, or maybe my favorite, is Cable Guy. No one ever talks about Cable Guy no more. No one talked about it then either. I think it won a Nickelodeon award.
Is it? I've heard it's bad.
It's awesome. Are you kidding me?
I have no idea because I just don't.
Okay.
I haven't seen
We're
it.
clearly going to have to watch Cable Guy because it's like, okay, long story short, like Matthew Broderick he's getting cable installed in his new apartment, and he's like, hey, so my friend said if I like give you $50, you'll hook me up with all the channels. And Cable Guy like gets all serious and he's like, you just gave me a bribe. You know, you could be locked up and go to jail. You know, you could spend this many years in a correctional facility. I think he says something like that. And then he's like, okay, man, it's okay. I was just not, you know, I didn't really mean it. And he's like, and he goes, yeah, I'll hook you up. And then the Cable Guy like attaches himself to Matthew Broderick. He's like wants to be his new best friend, and he like shows up all the time, and like he's like, hey buddy, what are you doing? And he's like basically starts stalking him, and
Weird.
like it's an incredible movie. It's Jim Carrey playing a bad guy, and it's
Oh, you know who really plays a good bad guy?
who?
Keanu Reeves.
I haven't seen Keanu Reeves play a bad guy. That sounds scarifying.
Oh, dude, Man of Tai Chi.
Really?
Yeah, it's also a martial arts movie, so it's like the best. He's a bad guy in a martial arts movie.
So like, okay, channeled messages, and when you're channeling something, your own personality and your own thing seems to spice it up in some way. So with these actors and with these channels, who you are as a person and your own personality seems to factor in, right?
Like you blend with whatever's coming through, and it's more of like you are the person that needs to come through, and that's why you're doing it. That's why like most of them only channel one being.
And so isn't that, we could argue that that's sort of why we have a weird religious or spiritual connection or feeling towards our celebrities, is because we on some level understand that they channel these archetypes. Like people love like the Marvel heroes. Like, people love Captain America. People love Thor. And, you know, I just wouldn't call myself a Marvel movie fan, but even I really liked Endgame. I felt like I could connect with...
No spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers.
Because I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
I'm doing it after this.
Yeah, and the spoiler cap comes off Monday, which is probably after when we release this episode, but we'll save any spoilers for next time. So we'll just drop it, and we'll talk about it next time. Different actors and different channels are able to channel entities that are, like, what, more in resonance with who they are? So, like, how come... So what's with Mark Hamill, then?
Mark Hamill?
Yeah.
He can play the Joker's voice, apparently.
Why is Mark Hamill the perfect Luke Skywalker and the perfect Joker? What's that about?
Because he knows the ways of the dark side and the light.
Okay, yeah.
Like, he tapped in when he was fighting his father on the freaking Death Star. Death Star 2.
And so we can say, like, some of these, like, Heath Ledger, like, we can say the Joker killed Heath Ledger. Like, it took over his mind to some unhealthy degree. I guess you got to be careful who you channel. And even if you're just pretending, like, Alan Moore says you have to be careful who you pretend to be, because that's eventually who you become.
Oh, yeah, you'd, like, become that, whatever you're channeling, if you can channel an idea. Much like, isn't that a movie about, like, soldiers? One just, like, loses his mind.
I don't remember.
Full Metal Jacket.
Oh, Full Metal Jacket. I don't know if he starts channeling, though.
No, but he's just trying to be, like, the best soldier at one point, and he just fucking loses his mind because he just was only in that mind state.
Oh, man, there's so many... There's so many weird psychological, like, things to explore in that movie. It's hard for me to know exactly which one you're talking about. I think everyone remembers the Nomer Pyles and his fate and all this stuff that happened to him. Shoot, what did I want to mention about that? In terms of military and military involvement with all this, we gotta, like, revisit Akira again, because the person who wrote us in to suggest this episode,
because there's channeling in Akira.
Yeah, there's a lot of channeling in Akira. Kai, because Kai channels
is being channeled by the
what do you call them?
The gross old lady baby.
Yeah, dude, I don't know what you call them. The experimental kids, the weapons,
the elderly kids, the elderly psychic kids.
Okay, so Kai, like, what is that? Okay, so going back to Akira, what does Kai symbolize? She's like the receptive, the feminine, she's open. Yeah, she's like the feminine counterpart to Kaneda. Okay, yes. And that's who can connect to the powers, the higher powers and the higher beings, and funnel or channel their energies
through the receptive feminine principle.
Through the feminine receptive principle, yeah. So, like, that's sort of what that symbolizes, right? Kaneda is in combat with Tetsuo psychically through his spirit guides, basically, in that scene, which is really gnarly. So if you've ever been on 4chan's X, occasionally, and it's not all the time, well, there's always divination threads. So there's always threads where you can get your cards read, or you can get your Akashic record read by a divinator. But there's also other times where, like, super strange people will post threads and they're like, I'm a psychic, I'm connected to my tulpa, I'm Pleiadian, I'm whatever, ask me anything. You know, and I've interacted with some of these people, and, like, they can read your energy sometimes. Like, I had a really great psychic reading. You never know when that's going to happen. So that's, once again, Akira being real, you know. But I guess what the message there is, like, you connect to these other beings through your feminine, receptive, open side. We could say that.
Which is the symbology in Akira. Because Kai and Kaneda represent the individual, the hero, but the two separate parts, the two separate components.
Kaneda basically picks her out because he's attracted to her, because she almost looks like him, right? Like, she dresses all in red.
Yeah, there's, like, this red theme that they have together.
And she doesn't do a lot of talking in the movie.
She does action.
She does action. Most of the talking she does do is in that one scene where she's channeling those beings. So yeah, I think that's exactly what that symbolism means. I think the person who emailed us about that is, like, dead on. So, I mean, there's that. Okay, this ties into our last episode on Ouija boards. I didn't mention this when we were talking about it earlier. I had heard this channel a long time ago, Jane Roberts, who channels Seth, right away from a distance. It's sort of spooky because any entity named Seth, that's like the god of storms and darkness in the Egyptian pantheon, right?
But also, like, birth.
Oh, yeah, birth, huh? Because they would use Set amulets during birth.
Yeah, it's just like Pazuzu.
It's just like, yeah.
Because you use Pazuzu for births and stuff. It's like the same archetype.
It is very, very, very similar, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, okay. Just the same, Jane Roberts channels this being called Seth. How does this tie into the Ouija board episode? Jane Roberts contacted Seth through the Ouija board.
Nice.
Most Ouija board experiences don't end up with you contacting like a super high being. I mean, if you're a fundamentalist, you may believe that Seth is Satan.
It's the Sathan.
It's the Sathan. Well, ultimately, okay, we're going to go kind of deep here, and I don't know. I don't really have the depth to reach the answers here, and I might just be like making ramble fear-based stuff. But okay, we've acknowledged the skeptics. We've sort of agreed that we're willing to spend money to go be entertained by some of these channelers. Like, that would be fun.
Are they channeling the devil?
Yeah, are they channeling the devil? That's the question. You know what I'm gonna ask, Andrew, and that's it. Are they? So the fundamentalist in me, and I had a mental breakdown with this about a year into reading tarot cards, when I was like, why is my tarot card readings? Why are they always so accurate? And then everyone on the internet's like, well, it's because the devil rules everything, including the occult, including television, including everything you've ever experienced.
And the barcodes.
More specifically, everything you've ever liked and enjoyed.
Except the church.
Except the church, yeah. The church is good. There's nothing wrong about the Bible. It's the word of God. Okay, we could do this forever. See, I'm channeling now.
Yeah, see, you just started channeling.
Okay, but I can always
a stream of consciousness.
I call this guy like my super secret agent Jesuit that lives in my head, that's always trying to convince me that everything I'm doing is going to lead me to hell. And it's just, I can never really get rid of that voice. It's always there. And super secret Jesuit secret agent says, okay, all of these channeled messages, all of these people are the devil. And it's because the devil works in a hierarchical fashion and is able to divide up and divvy out the duties amongst all the different ranks, like in the military. And he can send envoys to different places to do different things. And while Satan is, moving human traffic here and there and getting the drug trade going and running the government and Facebook and all that stuff, Satan also has some deceptive beings of light that go and visit all these channels and put all this anti-Christian, anti-conservative, anti-good into the minds and imaginations of these channels, and they're just out there to deceive the masses and to pull people away from God and Jesus Christ and to lure people into the illusion of reincarnation. That because if you believe in reincarnation, you're never gonna repent and you're never gonna see. I could channel this fucking Jesuit for days, dude.
Yeah, that's a creepy spirit.
I could do it for days.
You're
never
scaring me.
It never shuts up, dude.
That's some scary shit right there.
Yeah,
dude.
It lives in my head, and I can channel it anytime I want.
We need to put this show on the road.
So that's the spooky part of it. Like, and I think there, about a third or 25% of the threads on X that get a lot of traffic in the day are, what do they call them? They'll be like, yeah, you got to turn away from this occult stuff.
You need to listen to Testament.
Turn away from all this, like,
and
read the Bible.
If you're gonna listen to metal, listen to Stryper.
And you know what, man?
If you don't know what Stryper is, you should look up Stryper. It's the funniest shit in the world.
I got some sympathy for that perspective because there was a time, and I don't want to get too personal or get too into this, but like, man, me and some people I know definitely got ourselves into some really dumb hot water, misinterpreting what Abraham said, and just I don't want to get into it, but
that's the Bart Simpson do what you feel.
Do what you feel, yeah.
Like
do what you feel.
What people think do what thou wilt means.
What people think do what thou wilt means, yeah. So most people will, yeah, so the super secret Jesuit would be like, yeah, that's what Aleister Crowley said, just do what feels good, and he was an addict, and he was a sexual deviant, and actually a lot of other occultists saw him as a sexual deviant.
Dude, we can't go an episode without bringing up Crowley.
No, I don't think we should leave Crowley out. I think let's keep bringing him up. Great Beast 666, let's keep talking about him. If it weren't for him, we probably wouldn't have our little septagram on our art on our podcast. So
Yeah.
also, he's the first guy that drew a gray, and this podcast is going to get to the bottom of this alien stuff. Now, that is also in the wheelhouse of Super Secret Jesuit. What he has to say is like, yeah, Aleister Crowley is the first person to draw one of these grays
through a channeled experience.
Through a channeled experience. Yes, Andrew, the Book of the Law was channeled. Oh, I'm so happy we brought this up and didn't.
Yeah, you totally didn't even think about it.
No, I didn't, but
I'm not gonna let it slip.
the Book of the Law is supposedly channeled, and that whole interaction, if you listen to it, is so similar to is very similar to Esther Hicks and very similar to
Daryl Anka.
all those experiences, very similar. Jane Roberts' husband is the one who is writing down what Jane Roberts was saying. And what happened to Aleister Crowley was I think him and his wife fucked in the king's chamber or something.
They did the ritual I forget what they did. I think they did the ritual in the king's chamber.
They did some goetic shit in there, didn't they?
Or Enochian or something like that.
All right, they
summoned Horus.
Did they summon Horus?
In the king's chamber.
All right, well that was
I think they did like ritual sex magic in the king's tomb.
Well, if you're Aleister Crowley, that's what you do, right? So,
Right. I think.
I would too. You got Jane Roberts. I was turned on to Jane Roberts because I listened to Where Did the Road Go? And Soraya, the host of that show, is a fan of Seth Speaks. And man, so this is what I want to say about Seth Speaks. When you listen to Ivan Teller's like, oh, I'm talking to some unicorn, I'm talking to some Pleiadian. And you get a lot of Ivan Teller's speech patterns mixed in. And that sort of happens with all of them, right? But when you go on YouTube and you look up Seth Speaks, you can find an entire free audiobook. It's narrated by somebody with a voice that's just like butter. You know what I mean? It's so easy to listen to. So who is Seth? Supposedly, you've got this higher dimensional being that's talking to this woman, Jane Roberts, who's speaking it out loud, and her husband is writing it down.
And she's like using a Ouija board to do this?
She originally contacted Seth through the Ouija board. So the husband's writing it down, and then that presumably gets sent to a publisher and written into a book. After that, somebody, and we learned this from last podcast, a lot of people that read these audiobooks are like prisoners and stuff. So it's possibly even a criminal or an inmate. We don't know for sure. It might not be.
Being paid 2 cents an hour.
Yeah, to read Seth Speaks. And so when you listen to Seth Speaks, you're getting what sounds like. It's just so good. It's not raw anymore. It's so refined and polished, and it just, whoever's reading the transcript is just flowing off the page. And when you're listening to Seth, it's a totally intense feeling because the message of Seth has passed through so many different mediums that by the time it gets to you, it's almost a different character now. I'm not saying that the channels or that the messages was corrupted or changed in some way, but it did evolve gently and slowly in a way that that's really cool.
Maybe Seth is like an office, like
the Seth.
Yeah, I'm the Seth. Like you just take on the role.
So okay, yeah. To address that wheelhouse of like it's all the devil.
What if the devil is everything that's not God? So therefore, like everything's the devil.
That's my understanding of the devil personally.
Right.
That's my personal understanding, and I think it's kind of nuanced. It's really the devil to me is more like an understanding of like the neti, not this. Like if you can name it, if you can identify it, if you can describe it, it's probably not God. Neti, not this. So, if you're not talking to God, you're talking to Lucifer, right? So, I mean, that's like my own like very childlike understanding of it. But where was I going with this? I wanted to talk about
the devil.
Oh yes. Channeling. Okay, channeling the devil.
Oh, you want to talk about channeling like the devil?
Okay.
Paradise Lost. That's like a channeling of the devil.
But that'll just make you feel sympathy for Lucifer, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's like that's like a channeled freaking transcript of Lucifer. That thing's gnarly.
But let's cut right to the chase. Let's go right back to the idea that channeled messages are either coming straight from these higher beings that are trying to help us, or maybe they're coming from these like trickster beings that are trying to throw us off. Because Let's go back to John Dee and Edward Kelly,
Okay.
because they were obviously channeling beings.
Oh, and they couldn't even agree on what kind of beings they were channeling. Like, John Dee's like, these are angels.
Yeah.
Edward Kelly's just like, no,
These
they're
are demons.
Yeah, these are demons. Fucking
And I don't trust them.
Yeah, I don't want to do it.
But then if you read Jason
Louv.
if you read Jason Louv's book, John Dee and the Empire of Angels, maybe the best part of the book, at least for me, is the section where you figure out that Edward Kelly was going behind John Dee's back and doing goetic magic.
Which is like to do with demons.
To do with demons, like in his private chamber at night when he was...
To impress the Prussian aristocracy.
So is that your understanding of it? Because my understanding of it is he just wanted all the secrets, and he wasn't even convinced that... I don't know, he may have been a Gnostic or something. He may have believed the demons were the good ones, or the ones that he could trust for some reason. I don't know.
What I've read, because I haven't even read all of Empire of Angels.
You gotta finish it. It's so good. And it's good. It's so didactic and dense and full of such great biographical information about John Dee. But, that part's a little dry compared to the section about Aleister Crowley and his aether workings and stuff. That is like full on 2 rails of cocaine and a big V8 engine revving up full speed. It's like really interesting and really fascinating, that part, because, and I want to get to that. Okay, so the Goetic spirits basically delivered a philosophy or a worldview to Kelly, and separate from what the angels said. You can find instances of Aleister Crowley saying later, "Oh, that was the real philosophy," and just, Edward Kelly and John Dee were just had too much sticks up their butts about God and couldn't accept the truth.
Edward Kelly was trying to win favors over with the aristocracy and the different lords and like one of the princes. Basically, he had to like prove to them that he could do the magic, number one. So he's like, okay, if I have to prove this to you, we're going to do some Goetia in my chambers, right? And I think by the end of it, he's just cooking up gold.
Well, supposedly Edward Kelly got some red dust that was able to turn stuff into gold at some point. Like, a lot of the book covers the idea that Edward Kelly may have just done a lot of what he did to get access to John Dee's library, which was the bee's knees of libraries at the time, and he really ingratiated himself with that knowledge and information that it was available to him, in that he himself actually discovered stuff that John Dee was not able to, and took these secrets and it went to go impress royalty.
Well, also he was the channel. Like, he was the one channeling the angels. In fact, John Dee had written in his secret diary that like a green flame would like shoot out of his little crystal ball on his little Ouija apparatus, fly around the room, then fly into Edward Kelly's forehead, and then like there would be a visible green flame around Edward Kelly's head, like a little ring around.
That's incredible.
Like where his hat would be.
Yeah, they conjured these things to appearance, both in crystal balls and in person. And then also, if you read the book, they were bedeviled by what we would call like cryptids or shadow beings or sleep paralysis demons or whatever, constantly when they weren't doing their workings.
Yeah, it's just absolutely insane what their story is.
It makes it really hard to come to any conclusions about it. And so once again, Mr. Super Secret Jesuit says, well, of course that's the fallen angels they're contacting, deceiving everyone every which way.
It's the devil.
Well, okay, so let's address that for a minute. I was not able to pull it up online as I wanted to, but basically it's in Jason Louv's book. It wouldn't be that hard to find in there. The philosophy that the Goetic spirits brought to Kelly was like, you don't really need salvation from Christ because there is reincarnation. I don't know if it said like marriage is a sham basically, but it basically said like, yeah, do what you want. Like, just do what you want. Let go of all this pious crap. And a lot of it was basically what the New Agers are telling us, that we're eternal beings of light and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, Super Secret Jesuit is always a little bit afraid that any channeled messages is coming from a deceptive trickster spirit. And then the readings got really like, ultimately their Enochian workings concluded with them like wife swapping and seeing like a bare-breasted angel that they called the Daughter of Fortitude.
Yeah, the Daughter of Fortitude, and Fortitude is the the ability to take on suffering with courage.
Yeah, man, you
Or
tell 'em.
adversity with courage.
And that's very much the archetype of woman on Earth, you know?
Yeah.
There's an intimate relationship between Thelema and the worship of this daughter of fortitude as Babylon 156. There is a playful, like, we don't need Jesus, we just need Babylon sort of thing going on in Thelema. I'm too low level to fully grasp and grok and understand that. I've been told that I'm actually connected to that current because I'm so enthusiastic about the space program and JPL and like I myself am interested in Enochian magic and...
Oh, speaking of Enochian magic in Babylon, 156 is the amount of squares on each tablet.
Yeah, and all of the tablet is like a grid of all the different spirits you could connect to and channel, basically, and they all would have different information and different qualities and different personalities.
But we're gonna have to do like a deeper dive on Enochian.
Yeah, we'll have to do a deeper dive on Enochian someday. But okay, so
because there's a lot to go on.
Well, we did do the whole rabbit today. We did
barely scratching the surface of that.
But we did touch on a lot of what we wanted to touch on with channeled messages here on this show. What do we want to say? What do I want to say about Enochian last? Okay, so when you do which working is it where you read the call and you pick which spirit shows up and then you basically channel that spirit, right?
That would be the
like the third call or something.
Well, you do different calls for different spirits.
But there's one call specifically that you use to dial in the spirit and talk to that spirit specifically, right? I think there is. There's like one call specifically where you like plug in which spirit you want to talk to, and then that's like what shows up. Pretty sure.
That's that's like you have to do like a couple of calls for like certain ones, but mostly you do like the first, second. We're really getting into this one. You do like the first, second, and then there's a certain amount of calls because there's like 18. You get one call for one board, one call for another board, one call for like the one board that's supposed to like connect them all. Like it's like the ring.
So this is like super Ouija board now.
Yeah, it's like it is, or some sort of cipher masters like Ouija board in an alien language.
The Ouija board of the Enochian angels.
Well, that's a whole other episode, but it is related to channeling, so I'm happy we brought it up.
Yeah, because you have to channel to get that, because it was derived through channeling, and it's like this huge body of work. And that's the cool thing about it, and why it should be mentioned in this episode, because it was derived through channeling.
Well, I guess we are touching on something here. What? Like everything in Thelema, like what? The Book of the Law and the Aether visions, a lot of what's derived from a lot of esoteric religion is interpreting channeled messages and channeling entities and beings, right? That's kind of what religion is, sort of.
Or inhaling like some sort of gas every 90 days.
Oh yeah, inhaling the gas and getting the visions and channeling the Pythia or the Apollo. Actually, they were channeling Apollo. The oracles were channeling the spirit. They were filled with the spirit of Apollo. Before we got into that, I was going to say one last thing I wanted to bring up with channeling. Oh, Buddhists. The Buddhists. Man, I was driving Uber, and sometimes when my daughter's staying over at my mom's house, I like to come home just a little bit early and watch TV with her because my mom just stays up all night, like watching wacky stuff on her Fire Stick. Man, I walked in on the best possible, at least twice. This one time, though, it was the Dalai Lama was talking about channeling and channeled messages. Specifically, here's the story that when maybe Andrew can help me with the historical facts here. When the founding of Buddhism and the binding of the Bon spirits.
Yeah. So the way the Tibetans picked up Buddhism is
let's talk about this.
There was a Buddhist and this is my favorite part about like Buddhism, because they don't dismiss anything, they just sort of don't care about it. Basically how they converted the Bon religion to Buddhism is a Buddhist monk or like high level practitioner of some yoga,
because the Bon were spirits that were like elemental spirits that ruled the land, right?
They basically had like a pantheon of elemental gods who rule the land. So those
they were like oppressive, right?
Yeah, have you ever been to Tibet? I haven't. I don't want to. It's crazy. Like that's a crazy spirit area, but
I want to go.
he basically, through ritual magic, summoned up all the gods of the Bon and, like, identified them as parts of himself. And so by doing so, he converted them because he's already a Buddhist.
As the Dalai Lama said, these Bon spirits, or these demons, as he called them.
Well, they're like gods, demons, whatever. They're like crazy spirits.
I think from the Dalai Lama's perspective, that's like almost the same thing, depending on what you're talking about. So these Bon spirits were bound and then assigned to be obedient to the Bodhidharma, which is the philosophy of the Buddha and the Eightfold Path, I believe, if I'm correct. So what I walked in on with my mom, and the thing she was watching on the Fire Stick, was a monk is like meditating one day and going through his normal ritual practices, and he just completely passes out. I think he would go unconscious, and this would happen over and over. He even went unconscious, I think, when he was going down the stairs. Like, bad stuff would happen to him. Like, he would just go unconscious, and then he would like go into a trance and start channeling this being. He ended up being like a chosen channel to these Bon spirits. And this fascinated me to no end. I had no idea this was in Buddhism, but the Dalai Lama has state-sanctioned channelers that, that's not the word they use. Oracles, I think they may be called, that channel these demons that are supposedly bound to the Bodhidharma, and that these demons dispense information, they dispense spiritual advice. They can be called up by the Dalai Lama to give information about how to make state decisions. And this actually came up in the documentary, that there were like Democrats in Tibet that were like, why the hell is this stupid religious king taking orders from demons? Like, shouldn't we be deciding what happens as the people? I found that fascinating as hell. The Dalai Lama has people that are dedicated channels to old ancestral and old, maybe not ancestral, land-based, or
maybe they're aliens that live underneath Tibet.
What do we even know? Yeah, they could be aliens for all we know. But they
using Ouija boards to communicate with people.
And then there's even a problem where like one sect got really absorbed with their being that they're channeling, and like sort of started to drift off, and the Dalai Lama had to like tell them to like, bugger off, basically, and it causes problems. So even in Buddhism, this is a thing, channeled messages and whatnot.
Well, they're like really doing it to the point where it's causing problems.
Yeah, to the point where so there we have another instance of like, are these tricky things? Like, well, I mean, hold on. Before we just throw them under the bus, because I certainly don't want to anger these things, and I certainly don't want to misrepresent them even more. They're the ones that helped the Tibetans escape the Chinese, and
there you go.
So like, they're like, yeah, you need to go this direction and go that direction, and then the Chinese won't kill you on your way to safety. And then supposedly that's one of the ways they're used. And the Dalai Lama, just to wrap up the whole rabbit, to wrap up this episode, we'll say what the Dalai Lama said. He said, if I say that we need to ban all of this channeling, it's extreme in one direction. And if I say, we should just listen to these spirits, everything they say, and we should always listen to our oracles, and our oracles are like our bread and butter, then that's an extreme in another direction. The right solution is to have a balance and to walk forward in wisdom and in, balance.
So they're at least listening to what the channeled messages have to say before they make a decision.
Right, but not straight up just making them their new gods that are just going to dispense all the information they're ever going to need.
So perhaps we should always take that with channeled messages, that they're not a prescription for life.
They're not
perfect words that can prescribe how you should act in every single moment of your life.
And even if they are, you may not be capable of interpreting that information in exactly the way
that it should be
or was meant to be interpreted in the moment that you're acting on it. So, I don't think the channeled beings would disagree with that. They would say that this is a learning experience, and we're trying to suss it out for ourselves and learn for ourselves. And at the end of the day, I can't completely disagree with their advice. And, if dealing with occult and spiritual or strange things leads to the devil, then, oh man, I'm completely fucked. So,
I'm supposed to say that.
I know, we're trying to not say it as much, but we're just a podcast. We're going to say the F word a lot. Anyway, Yeah, eat carrots, shoot lasers. Thanks for tuning in to The Whole Rabbit. If you have any, to wrap this up, if you have any suggestions, please write us and email us. We are glad to cover whatever topics you want us to cover. We would like you to write in maybe with a movie or a show. I'm not really the fastest reader, so a book might not be great for me. But a movie or something that we can analyze and pick apart and dissect from a symbolic perspective, we would like to do more episodes like that.
Yeah. And where are we located?
Okay, you can always email us at LukeMadrid@gmail.com. You can email us at thewholerabbitpodcast@gmail.com. We are on Instagram at thewholerabbit, and it has an underscore after every word. So the_whole_rabbit_. That's where we're at on Instagram. You can catch us on YouTube, but the episodes come out a little bit later. SoundCloud wants me to pay money, so I'm not really hosting new episodes there. But you can catch us on the Google Play Store, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, and maybe one or two other places I can't remember off the top of my head. But thank you anyway.
All right.
That's The Whole Rabbit. Eat carrots, shoot lasers. The Whole